Alex Monteith's work. The title of which is just escaping me at the moment. Passing Manoeuvre. Now, Alex makes video works. Sometimes they are installations, often using multiple screens. Sometimes she makes what's known as single-channel work, and sometimes it can have a slightly more kind of documentary narrative to it. But what we're seeing here is a two-screen work, and did you get what was happening there in terms of the relationship between the two riders? That in essence, one was the leader and one was the follower, but they had quite a fascinating kind of almost sort of symbiotic relationship with one another, given that there was a camera on the back of one of their helmets and of the leader, and then the follower had again the camera on the front, which is why we're getting the kind of image quality that we're getting there. It's new and kind of fast little digital technology. But it's why it doesn't look like, a sumptuous, blockbuster kind of film. It's very, very kind of interestingly rustic footage with quite harsh colours. But they get on, I think it's Tristram Ave, possibly, the on-ramp over on the North Shore. I think so. It's a 13-minute video altogether, and then they go through very heavy traffic, surprise, surprise, and head over the harbour bridge and then turn off just after they've left the harbour bridge and gone past West Haven, and then it's basically one of your first lefts that you can take to get off the main drag. But there's two high-performance motorcycles being used. Thankfully, Ron's listed them. There's the Ducati 996 and the Suzuki GSX-R 600, which may mean more to other people than it does to me because I'm not a motorcycle fan. Alex, however, is a huge speed freak. She drives motorcycles. She loves high-end, kind of customised cars. She's a real action woman. She has been a national representative in surfing, which for those of you who might have seen her work at the Triennale, included a very sumptuous large-scale work of surfers. But here we see what is actually an illegal act in terms of whipping through traffic on motorcycles. But for me, what I really enjoyed about it was the relationship between the two riders and how they were essentially trying to keep pace with one another, but the odd kind of dual perspective of time that we get with kind of looking forward and looking back. So the same moment is being captured, but we're seeing it side by side, but they're two kind of independent entities. It's also kind of a strange way of that kind of invisible method of connection that, because they have to be so observant, both in terms of the danger of weaving through traffic like that, but in terms of keeping pace with one another. The camera line mimics their eye line, so it mimics their position of their head and their point of concentration. So, it's interesting, the thrum of traffic. It's something that we can all completely relate to, and perhaps think how exciting it would be to be on a high-performance motorbike, being able to weave through traffic. But yeah, I think that Alex talks a lot about the process of filmmaking within her work, but also, again, she talks about, a really concrete reference to our kind of existence now and the troubles and the trials of, particularly in Auckland, existence. And what little things would charmed me, the fact that on the leading motorbike, the fact that the exhaust pipes and the tail light made a kind of cartoon face that you ended up kind of sort of chasing through the traffic, I thought was really fascinating. And that the riders are anonymous. We don't know who they are. We just know they're kind of highly competent riders, but they're doing this thing which isn't quite kosher within our existence. Wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised. She's certainly capable of it in terms of her riding skills. But we see it within a darkened space. The sound is a really important component of their work, that thrum of the motorcycle engine. But this is very different work than her, for example, her documentary-style work about the Troubles in Northern Ireland. She's a very, very adaptable filmmaker. She works right across a huge spectrum of activity. And so her work's sometimes shown at film festivals and sometimes shown within art galleries. So, yeah, I think a very, very interesting and impressive artist. And she's going to have a really big show at the Galbraith Brewster Art Gallery in New Plymouth later on this year, where her installations will fill pretty much the whole space. So someone to keep a good eye on. And she's done work with Army fighter pilots. She's doing work with helicopter squadrons. Currently she often looks at whether it's through the Army or whether it's the Taranaki local surfers in the turbulence, the hot air balloon triennial work. She's very interested in systems of collegiality in a way, clubs of specialism.